Holy sh! Hi guys and welcome to the video. So, I just got done watching the Orville season 3 episode 6. Oh my god. Yeah, this is the second episode in a row that's blown me away, and you wouldn't know my opinions on the previous episode. I had a pretty annoying failure with my setup last week, so I couldn't do my review for season 3 episode 5, A Tale of Two Topers. So I'll just give you my quick thoughts on that previous episode right now, and then we'll get straight into episode 6. So A Tale of Two Topers was an absolutely, thoroughly incredible episode for me, in my opinion, personally. It was emotional, it was very moving and very to the point. It didn't mess around with the entire concept of gender reassignment surgery and corrective surgery. It was a sequel to the season 1 episode About a Girl. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. I had an entire review filmed, transferred it all, and then I had a bit of a corruption issue on the hard drive, my computer, and it went horribly wrong. By the time that happened, it was pretty late, so I couldn't finish the review. So I do apologise. It was just out of my control. But I absolutely loved that previous episode. Now, on to this episode, and I'm going to hit you with a big spoilers right here. Because this episode, I'm going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen this episode, please go and watch it and then come back and hear my thoughts then, because I don't think anyone deserves to have this episode spoiled. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved every second of it, and it's proving once again that this show is not fucking around. This episode is a time travel episode, and it is such a stark contrast to the episode of Strange New Worlds that I watched earlier today. And the review is up on the channel if you want to watch it. But they're both time travel episodes, and the contrast is incredible between that episode of that show and this episode of this show. I'm not going to go through a complete plot rundown, because I think you need to go and see this episode. And if you're here, you want to hear my thoughts on the episode, you're going to hear them all. I'm not going to do a complete rundown. The episode plotline is this: the time machine, the time mess around machine thingy majig. I don't know the scientific term. The time machine thing that was in the very first episode of the Orville. We no longer need further banana. That one. It makes a return in this episode. The crew of the Orville realise it's very dangerous technology, and they've got to keep it out of the hands of the likes of the Krill and the Kalon. Somehow the Kalon find out about it. The Orville's got to get it to safety, but the safe haven is destroyed, and they have to try and evade the Kalon and get away from a Kalon attack. It triggers the device when Gordon is ordered to destroy it. Triggers the device, and it sends Gordon back to 2015 on Earth, because they've been discussing how your consciousness, when you're dealing with time travel, determines your destination. Certainly in the world of the Orville. So Gordon's thrown back to 2015. He somehow manages to time a message from 2015 to 400 odd years in the future, using the distance where the Orville actually is, that they're hiding out in a nebula. So he's able to get a message to the Orville, and he's been there trapped. The crew of the Orville figure out a way to get the entire ship back in time. So they go, so it's a rescue mission. They're going to go and rescue Gordon. Now, it goes a little wrong. They managed to get back in time, but they missed the mark by about 10 years. So it's actually not 2015, it's 2025. So it's about a year or so after Picard and his gang of complete fucktards landed there. Gordon's in Pasadena, California. They're 10 years too late. They managed to find Gordon, but Gordon's got a family. And that family is, if you remember the episode with the smartphone, where he fell in love with a recreation of a woman whose mobile phone was in a time capsule. He recreated this woman. She was a singer, and he fell in love with her. And he just, no matter what he did, he couldn't make the simulation work because she was still in love with this other guy. So he's got a family. He's got a wife. He's got children, and he's got a life. Obviously, the Union temporal laws state that you are not supposed to interfere with past events should that situation ever arise. Obviously, he has violated so many laws at this point. Mercer and crew have to bring him back. Isaac and Burke are sent on a mission to retrieve some, I believe it's called Dysonium from the Earth's core, doing a very gentle job of it as well. There's a couple of scenes that I'll go through in a minute involving them. Mercer catches up with Ed, meets the family, and he's incredibly pissed off. There's a very heated exchange between them saying, you know, you've broken all of these laws, Gordon. You've got to come back, and we are going to be taking you back. Gordon's wife finds out the truth because she's overheard the conversation, but she feels like she's always known that there's something behind Gordon. There's something more to him. Later on in the episode, Mercer comes back to Gordon and basically says, we're taking you regardless. And he says, well, take my family too, because I'm not leaving them. He gets a call from Isaac saying the Dysonium's been installed. We can jump time again. So Mercer decides to jump back to 2015 to pick Gordon up when they should have picked Gordon up, thus erasing Gordon's family and children. And that's how the episode progresses and ends. They retrieve Gordon from 2015. There's lots of different cute scenes in this episode, but the story of this episode is absolutely phenomenal. Yes, it's been done before, but this was just so well structured, so well acted, so well written. And again, stark contrast to the crap that I had to watch earlier today in Strange New Worlds. And yeah, it was crap. But this was phenomenal. What an absolute belter of an episode. Absolutely smashing episode. Burke is just great at everything. Of course she is. She has to be this show's Michael Burnham. She does cry an awful lot less though, which is nice. She and Isaac have to team up on the planet. Isaac is obviously quite clearly a cybernetic life form, so he uses the holographic projection, and we get to see the actor who plays Isaac. He's a phenomenal actor and such a lovely guy. I've seen a lot of interviews with him. There's a couple on YouTube which are absolutely phenomenal, and he's such a pleasant guy. He's tremendous actor, and he plays Isaac out of suit so very well. There's a scene in a biker's bar where, you know, it's a bit of a hustle. Burke hustles a couple of guys for their bikes, and wins obviously because Isaac is much stronger. Challenges them to an arm wrestle. We all know where that's going to go. Cybernetic life form versus human. There's also a scene in the basement of a house. It's situated directly above the material that they need in order to get home. So they have to drill down to the Earth's mantle and retrieve it and essentially mine it. And in the scene, Burke explains that something I suspected from the first episode is that the woman her friend who died, who Isaac was responsible for killing or indirectly killing, she was in love with her and she wanted to spend the rest of her life with her. She hadn't had the chance to tell her, and now she never can. So that's why she's upset with Isaac and will never be able to bond with Isaac in any kind of way. There's a scene with Lamar and wow. Yeah, he's got like a trapped nerve or a knot in his shoulder, and he's playing up, and she manages to massage it out of him. And the entire time I was sitting there thinking, oh, imagine laying pressure on your back right in the right spot. That'd be fantastic. And it's really quite a funny scene because they're making a lot of noises behind a console, and all the engineering crew are like, what's going on up there? And he manages to get it out, and she goes, oh, is that better? And at that instant, I knew precisely what was going to happen. They throw each other against the wall and they start making out. And I was just thinking, lucky bastard. Anyway, moving on. The episode in general was a holy fuck episode. It really hit me hard. The concepts it brings up, again, aren't original. There's nothing original here. It's been done before. Not quite like this, but everything's been done before. Everything's been done before. This was unique, And this approached it from a no bullshit direction. MOLY broke the law. He broke temporal law. He started a family in the past. He affected the timeline. Now, he held out for 3 years before doing this in the past. Gordon's reactions to Mercer, he even tells him to shut up and talks to him. He says, you are not my commanding officer anymore. You stopped being that a long time ago. You are in my house and you will listen to what I have to say. And I don't have to take this shit. There's a lot of conflict between them. And of course, they go back in time, and he doesn't know anything that's gone off, obviously. He'd only been there when they rescue him. He'd only been there a month. Now, at this point, when they've got him back, they're stuck because the time machine thingy-me-jig, the snow cone machine, has broken. It's screwed. There's no way home. Now, there was an interesting thing that I haven't yet seen covered in Star Trek, and they Orville covered it now, and it's something that's been on my mind for many years about faster than light travel, because we know if the closer we get to the speed of light, the slower time gets for us, the faster time passes for everybody else. So that's John's magical trip back forward in time. Now, I don't think it's been done in Star Trek before, and the Orville covered it. You know, they drop the effect around the ship that protects them from space-time, time dilation protection. They just go to 99.99999% the speed of light, and they plot a course to a nearby star that's 200 light years away. They engage the drive without the protections from the time dilation. The trip there is 200 years. The trip back is 200 years. But what I found interesting is where a lot of TV would say, certainly a lot of Star Trek would say, this is how we got home. They show a bit of it and then they're magically home. We get to see the entire thing. They travel all the way there. It's quite colourful, quite bright, and then they travel all the way back. And they're back in their own century. And that's where Mercer decides to tell MOLY just what had happened. And MOLY is... I kind of figured MOLY... It shows how much MOLY could grow if he had the time and the chance. He feels bad for Ed that he had to make that really tough decision to say, I've got to erase your family. I've got to go and get you back earlier so you don't have a family and contaminate the timeline. I think this episode was... I think it's a very different episode to last week's episode. I'm putting them both at the same level. I'm going to give them both a score of 8.5 out of 10. Were they perfect? Absolutely not. There were still some flaws, but these were highly entertaining episodes. Absolutely phenomenal. Wow. I was just blown away. What a fantastic episode. I'll be away next week. I won't be making an Orville video next week. I will, however, make one when I return. Nice little holiday for the family. We've got to get away and recharge the batteries and reset everything. So I really appreciate everybody watching these videos. I really appreciate you coming by. If you didn't like the video, then that's absolutely fine. Thanks for giving me the time. And if you did like the video, hit that like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel. It would really help me out. It's helping the channel to grow. The channel is becoming so much bigger than I thought possible. I may be this big on YouTube, but in the grand scope of things, but it makes me very happy that the channel's doing well. So thank you very much for that. Until the next video, you look after yourselves, you look after one another. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
I need the silence, stop the violence of the war in my head. Time's the healer, the eraser of all done and said. And as I fall back to my shelter, I know I'll